What's poppin', everybody? You are now watching Juke Boys Sports Show. I'm your host, King Ralph, here with the homie and my co-host, the homie Kai. What's happening, Birdie?
What's good? What's good? It's great to be back. Great to be here, man. Great to be everything.
Hold up, let me get my situation. Got to turn my Wi-Fi's off so I don't have no issues with the show today. Got my notes here. Got the phone. Got to find some stats. But before we get everything rolling, let's send a shout out to the sponsor, even though we haven't been in the studio in probably like 2 months, honestly. But
2 months?
But if you want to get to any music videos, podcasts like what you're watching, photo shoots, call the number on the bottom of the screen, 707 Fitboxer. Well, we got a lot to get in today. Before we get to Patrick Beverly and how he was out here tweaking, Mr. Westside himself. But he's a part of this segment. We're bringing it back. Inbounds or out of bounds. First off, Jaire Alexander, cornerback for the Green Bay Packers. This deal makes a lot of sense because Devontae Adams wanted his money. They weren't willing. They were willing to give him his money, so he walked. Jaire Alexander gets his top paid quarterback contract. This inbounds or out of
bounds. I believe Jaire Alexander getting his top cornerback paid contract is inbounds because we got to look at the market, right? I think whenever we're talking about these contracts, it's based off of how the market is set for the position and the time when a player winds up signing it. To this day, I still believe that Jalen Ramsey is the best corner in the NFL, even though he did get murked by Jamar Chase on that like 40-yard play in the Super Bowl. But anyway, on the biggest stage. But yeah, Jaire Alexander. Oh, my bad. Go ahead. I can't hear you.
Sometimes you have bad games. And plus, it's one of those things where, like to compare it to, like, the NBA. Kawhi is such a great defender. Mm-hmm. But there's times that Luka gives him work, and there's times he locks Luka up.
Facts.
This is one of those things. When you're a talent at that level, you're not going to be locking them up every play, every game.
It's impossible. That's why I'm glad you used that example. Like Grant Hill when he went up against Scottie Pippen, you know what I'm saying? Like he was shifting and shifting. It happens. The greater you are, right? More people are going to wind up. Was that me? I think that was me. Yeah, my bad. Sorry. The more, I was like, what in the world? I'm like, I'm in enemy state. I'm being tracked. But it's like people want to go at you. But no, Jaire Alexander is actually, I brought this up because he's actually one of the more underrated cornerbacks in the league. And his availability was also talked about as being the key for the Green Bay Packers to make a Super Bowl run last season, but ultimately they didn't make it. Aaron Rodgers yet again fell short. He couldn't score 10 points a game. The defense did what they needed to do, and he could have scored like 14 points. So, but keeping it short, I believe it's inbounds. How about you?
The only thing for me that I would argue on why it would be out of bounds is it's not that it's injury history, because I don't think he has an injury history.
Yeah.
But to give him this contract
now
after when he missed half the season, like he's literally coming he's coming off of a serious injury. To give him this contract now, I get it that the market kind of tells for it. So, and he's in that, not to say that he's better than Jalen Ramsey, but I do think if he's not in that tier, he's at least in that Xavier Howard, Tre'Davious White, him right there in that conversation. And that's why I'm not going to say it's totally out of bounds, but it gives me pause because you're willing to give this man this contract right after the injury that he's coming off of. Where there's a possibility, although modern medicine would tell you otherwise, there's a possibility he might not be that same player.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm just kind of, But I 90% agree with you. There's 10% of me that says it's out of bounds.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's fair.
And then next one, it's 2 trophies. Really, it's the same as like when you win the AFC championship, you get a hat, you get a trophy, and all of that. Where in the NBA, I don't necessarily think they get trophies for those things. They do get banners, but I don't think they get trophies
for the conference finals.
Yeah,
they do actually. That's why I'm actually intrigued by the change of the name. I'll let you go, and then I'll kind of get
just changing the name. Not really. I wasn't sure if they were adding the trophy or changing the name. I actually agree with this. So in totality, the Eastern Conference trophy name will be the Larry Bird Trophy.
Yeah.
The Western Conference trophy name will be the Magic Johnson Trophy. I just recently watched the clip where Charles Barkley was on The Pivot.
Mm-hmm.
And another one of my favorite sports podcasts, but shout out to those boys. But Charles Barkley was talking about it's in the same clip where they're talking about him being the second best player in the world at that time at his peak.
Yes.
But also goes to talk about what Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird meant to him as an athlete, someone that he was looking up to. And so with the Magic Johnson and Larry Bird thing, when we go and the forefathers of the NBA, the Kareems, the Bill Russells, the Dr. J's, they kept the sport relevant to a certain degree, but it wasn't like what it was in the 90s before Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. So for them two to have possibly still the greatest rivalry of coming in from college all the way to the NBA, what they were able to do going head to head, that friendship, the commercials, the shoes, playing in the finals in multiple years. That like we haven't seen anything like that since then. The only thing you could possibly say is LeBron and Steph, but they weren't going head to head.
Right.
So
and not even at their own position either.
Exactly. And so it's like even at that to think about that history and what they meant for the game, I think it's inbounds.
Okay. Yeah. I actually think it's inbounds. Because before, like, no one really knew anything about the trophy, to be completely honest with you. I remember just seeing it a lot because I used to be a Laker fan. So I was like, we used to always win the Western Conference back in the day. Remember Shaq and Kobe days, and they had this, it was pretty much this big basketball that's like silver or platinum, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? I got to get it right because people be like, silver and platinum are two different things, Kai. You don't know the difference. I can tell you don't own no jewelry. But no, no, but it's a all right, anyway, man. I always go off on something else. It's this cool basketball thing, and LeBron's won a couple of them, but the players don't keep them. The only trophy that the player keeps is the Larry O'Brien the Bill Russell, finals MVP award. And I used to think as a kid that anytime you win a trophy, like everyone gets a trophy. It's like, nah, bro, you got to win like the finals MVP to get anything. So I think it's cool because also, once again, it puts the names of greats in people's minds. Yes, we do talk about Magic and stuff like that. But I feel like, Ralph, people don't talk about Larry Bird a lot. You do.
Right.
You always talk about Bird. I give you your credit. But how often do you turn on TV and they talk about Larry Bird?
Right.
They just don't. They talk about LeBron. KD hit a jump shot and LeBron. So I think it's inbounds. That's it.
100% on that one, man. Because I think it is wild that Magic gets all this praise and this love, but like Larry Bird is like low key forgotten.
Yeah,
he himself has 3 MVPs.
Yeah,
he's pretty much like I hate the Luka because he's not Luka. They play totally different, but I get he wasn't like the fastest guy.
Right,
6'9", shooting above his head, and the ability like to just take you off the dribble, a passer. He was doing 28, 7, and 7 in the 80s. Like LeBron's pretty much career, like average stat line was Larry Bird's average stat line. So it's not like, oh, we've never seen anyone do this before. Larry Bird was doing this before.
Yeah, he was actually better than Magic, just being real. I'm not saying it was leagues. He was just a better player. Laker fans will hate me for saying that, but I was saying that when I was a Laker fan, that he was a better player. Magic had the better team, but it was just different. Like you said, the peaks. The 3 MVPs and all that kind of stuff. We can get into that another time, but he was better than Magic. I'm just being real with y'all.
100%, man, and 100%. And so, like, I'm happy he's finally getting some of that love, some of that praise.
Yeah.
And on to the next one. DeAndre Ayton and James Harden struggle.
Yes.
Their respective series, but both of them are going into contract off seasons, seeking max contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Is this out of bounds?
All right. So it's out of bounds for one of the 2 players. And I'm sure people know who I'm going to say. So I'm going to start it off with James the Beard Rick Ross having Harden. James Harden, man. Look, man, a.k.a. the dribbler, as Charles Barkley would say. James Harden, He's a great regular season player, but when you're looking at a max contract for him, right? Yes, he may put butts in the seats, but he's not producing. You're not getting a return in your investment. That's what the contract is about. It shouldn't be based off of what you did prior, like we've seen it happen in the past. It should be based off of what you're going to do. I'm paying because I feel like I'm going to get an investment back on the money I sent out to you. Taking 2 shots? What he did like in the fourth quarter of that elimination game in the playoffs. He was the whole second half. Excuse me, right? He wasn't assertive at all. He wasn't aggressive at all. We didn't feel like he imposed his will on any game in the series outside of that fourth quarter, in which they did win when Joel Embiid came back.
Right.
So I don't believe he's warranted it, and he hasn't been able to elevate a team to the NBA Finals. The only NBA Finals he's been to was when he was with OKC. And then DeAndre Ayton, the Phoenix Suns. I believe that you can give him the max contract. I'm not saying that he's the best at his position, but you have to look at it, Ralph, from the standpoint of if you let him walk or if you don't pay him his money, who are you getting to replace DeAndre Ayton, right? I feel like and I've heard Monty Williams say after the game about, sitting DeAndre Ayton, him only playing, I believe he played 15 minutes in that game versus the Mavericks. They went away from him. Why is it that he got 5 shots? Why is it that, the ball's not moving and Devin Booker is jacking up these shots? And so apparently there was some static between him and Monty Williams. And I wish I could have been a fly on that bench to hear what was being said back and forth. So I think we also have to kind of give, I don't want to say the benefit of the doubt per se, but kind of see it from Ayton's perspective and be like, well, I'm not getting the ball. And that does kind of fall on CP3 in some aspects, because this isn't the first time we've heard of some bigs saying, well, CP3, sometimes he can dribble around a little bit too much, feed the ball. And we've been saying the Phoenix Suns, I've been saying on this podcast, that's my only issue with them, is them going away from Ayton sometimes. And it kind of bore fruit in Game 7. Why are you going away from Ayton? That's the one advantage you had. So I believe he'll get his money, or deserves his money. But it's more so for the fact that I don't know who you're going to get right now on the market to replace him. That's it.
And this is one of the things for me where we both would agree on this.
Okay.
To tell someone they shouldn't get money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right.
I'm never gonna ask for as much money as demand your price, bro. Yeah. And so I'm gonna tell you not to go get your bread.
Yeah, until they say no.
Right. But at the same time, when Joel Embiid and Jokic are super max people, you deserve a max contract. And you're nowhere near that tier. You're at least 2 tiers lower than that.
I agree.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to demand the ball. And if you're not getting the ball, you're going to go get it off the rim. You're not going to pout. You're not going to not run up the court. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. Because even Shaq himself has said, I don't want to hear excuses. If you're not getting the ball, go get it off the rim.
That's valid.
And it's like that's the thing for me, where like, if you want this type of money, I get it where they're not giving you the ball, which we'll get into Patrick Beverley in a second. But that was one of the few things when it wasn't on the Get Up show.
Right.
On First Take. I actually agreed with him on that.
Yeah.
Is go get it off the rim. 7 foot, 7'1". You're telling me Max Kleber, Dwight Powell could keep you from getting rebounds?
Right. Like didn't Jalen Brunson out rebound him in the game, I think?
Right. And it's Luka's out rebounding you.
Yeah.
And that's my thing, is I understand. Yeah. I understand the gripe of Devin Booker and Chris Paul not getting you the rock.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, there's other ways for you to affect the game. You should be dominating the boards. You should be getting 12 to 15 rebounds a game, especially within this matchup. Where it's all right, cool. Who did they play before? They played it wasn't the Nuggets.
The Pelicans was Valanciunas and all them. Yeah.
I'll give you that one, because Valanciunas is a big body, regardless of how you feel about his skill set. Right. That's a real big body. So I'm not asking you to go dominate in the sense of rebounds. I'm still want you to dominate, because if you're asking for this max contract, Valanciunas ain't getting no max contract. So you got to go give him work.
Right.
And that's where like if you're asking for this max contract, you got to why are you worth this? Where it's like I'm already giving Devin Booker his max contract.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Paul is taking. I'm not sure if Chris Paul got a max contract or not. I don't remember his number exactly.
I forgot his numbers. Yeah, because he got paid last year, right? I think it was last year.
Yeah,
he would have got paid.
And then so it's like now I'm supposed to have 3 players that, if not getting maxes, close to it.
Yeah, they just get handed out the max, like that one free agency. I forgot when Travis Outlaw got like a bunch of money, and
and Mike Conley was the highest contract at the time,
and then got hurt. Then got hurt for the rest of his career, bro. Yeah, that summer was wild, man.
And on to the meat of inbounds and out of bounds topic. Mr. Westside Patrick Beverly goes on the Get Up, ESPN Get Up.
Oh man!
And says some blasphemy.
Really
called Chris Paul a cone. Says he's a cone.
Oh man!
Inbounds or out of bounds?
Out of bounds, man. Here's one thing I'll give Pat Bev though. I do believe when he says certain things, even if there may be some venom behind it, he believes what he says.
Right.
That's what I actually like about Pat Bev. And I know he's going to face him 3-4 times a year, and he's actually going to sell that to CP3 or anyone who listens because he doesn't back down from something. So I got respect on that level. But there's a level of decorum when you're talking about certain players, and also, or should I say, when you're a brotherhood in the NBA. And I felt like it was a little bit to the side of slander because CP3, yes, he is a 9-time all defensive team, I believe. 9-time all defensive team. I don't remember how many first team, but he's been someone who is it 7? He's 7.
Matt Barnes said 7.
Okay, 7. But he's elite.
Yeah.
He's been elite defensively. Now, as he's gotten older and age and attrition has transpired, yes, there has been significant slippage in that area, but I've seen him give effort. What did we just say in I think our last show? Energy and effort defensively, right? You can't help the fact that he's smaller. Also, he said, I don't lose sleep when I'm guarding when I'm going up against CP3. Maybe some players may not, but I'm sure the coaches do.
Right.
I'm sure the coaches do because CP3 is an extension of the coach. Michael Wilbon said that he's seen his notes. He's well prepared. So I believe he was out of bounds in terms of the defense. I believe he was out of bounds in terms of saying that, the Phoenix Suns aren't this, aren't that, whatever, woo. Yes, okay. You could talk about had Kawhi been there. We could have always done woulda, coulda, shoulda about any team.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is they won 64 games, right? They're a well-constructed team. It's just more the fact that I didn't know that Monty Williams had never played coached a Game 7. And I think Chris Paul was the only one who had Game 7 experience. When you look down the roster, Ralph, their entire roster doesn't really have that much experience in Game 7. So I just feel like the coach didn't have them prepared, and the players, they just don't talk crap to Luka. You get humbled. You get humbled. But the slander I felt of CP3 was just he just kept going on and on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if I wanted to take anything away from it, factual, or be like, man, that was a good point. It was kind of muddied by the fact that his whole demeanor the entire time was just like, whatever you say, I'm going to try to just.
Right.
What's that word? I'm looking for a word, and I'm gonna pass it off to you. Just
he's gonna rebuttal no matter what you say.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like you like when we were talking, you can peep the energy that someone's coming at you with, right? He came there.
They're not arguing to comprehend your side and
thank you.
They're just literally like, no matter what you say, oh yeah, I'm gonna say something back.
There we go. So that's all I wanted to say. I'll let you cook because I know that's your boy, but yeah, go ahead, man.
The only thing, one thing I'm really gonna say is shout out to Matt Barnes.
Yeah.
Who didn't let that rock. He didn't let that sit. He didn't let that slide. Because it's like Pat. Although Chris Paul is 37, at no point in your career were you ever what Chris Paul ever was.
Ever.
I get it. At a certain point, like he's still out there hooping, so you do gotta all right, he's still out there hooping. So I can't sit here and be like, well, he was this at one point type of thing. But it's like, come on, man. We're not going to sit here and act like Chris Paul, he doesn't have the point guard nickname for a reason.
Right.
And it's like, Chris Paul could have came out there and played the perfect game. They still would have lost by 30.
Yeah. They weren't stopping nobody.
Right. And then it's because now not only is Luka going for 30, Dinwiddie went for 30.
Yo, this dude was balling, man, pulling up jumpers. I'm like, bro, since when did he start playing like this?
He turned into Jason Tatum.
Facts.
He ain't never hooped like that. I ain't never seen you hoop like this, bro.
He was pulling up in the mid-range, just hitting threes in people's faces. I was like, bro, really?
Yeah, that's just one of them games. It's like, yeah, you gotta tip your hat off to him.
Right.
And it is what it is, bro. You lost. Come back better next season.
Yeah.
Figure some stuff out. Maybe experience is a thing. And so that's why I'm like, that's my only thing when it comes to like when you start talking about like when he was like, oh, well, why were they a great team? Well, they made it to the finals last year. They were a 64-win team.
All right.
This year, he was like, well, we won 50 games. Well, y'all wasn't in the finals last year either.
Yeah. And we got to say something also, Ralph, and I'll put this because my thing is injuries are part of the game. I'm a mindset of, yes, when injuries happen, that does affect outcomes. And also, two things can be true. They are a part of the game. I could almost say almost everyone believes had Kawhi not been hurt, that's my favorite player. I'll make no mistakes about it. They would have been in the NBA Finals. That still doesn't mean that they would have won. But then you could also look at last year's playoffs, which I do believe that they rightfully deserve to win their championship. But KD and Kyrie, they did get hurt. And then Giannis got hurt. You know what I'm saying? And people get hurt, bro. Clint Capella got hurt. Like people get hurt. But we saw the impact of what Brooklyn was doing. We saw like things happen. So for Pat Bev to just brush off someone as you can still say the injuries happen, but you can't brush off a team as being bad. And then something else I didn't like was I'm not sure if you caught this on one of the segments when he talked about D Book, because I do believe that I do believe he did expose D Book in terms of talking a lot of crap. And that's what I don't like about D Book, because he talks a lot of crap and he doesn't always back it up. But it's when he said, oh, they'll never be back or he'll never be back there again. You're saying they'll never be back to the second round of the playoffs, bro? The second round of the playoffs? That's a well-run organization right now. It is. Right. And Monty Williams is I think he even said he's a great coach. I think Pat Bev said he's a great coach. So you can't, in one token, prop up Monty Williams on a pedestal, right, and correct someone saying that he's more than a good, but he's a great coach, and then say Devin Booker and company will not be back to the second round of the playoffs next year. Because we could talk about the Clippers. We could talk about the Denver Nuggets next season, who I think they will be good on paper and in hindsight. But we can't predict. We can also say that those are two of the most injury-prone teams in the Western Conference in the last 2 years. So I think Pat Bev needs to rein it in some and look at the bigger picture and not be so salty that the Phoenix Suns knocked him out of the playoffs. So that's what it is. So,
right.
All right.
Next
segment on that one, man.
Oh yeah. So after seeing some of the things we've seen in this playoffs, and certain people getting certain tags, and they have a game, and all of a sudden they're a superstar. We see and Shannon talking about Ja, whether or not Ja's a superstar. We talk about Chris Paul at this age. Is he still a superstar? Mm-hmm. And then Luka is definitely a superstar.
Yeah, they're both.
Now, at this point, it leads you to the conversation of what is your definition of a superstar?
Well, every time I hear the word superstar, the hip hop in me thinks about the Maya and ODB song, Ghetto Superstar. That's what you are. Yo, kids, if you don't know that song, ask your parents, ask your big bro and big sis, your OGs, whatever. That song is fire. Anyway, shout out to ODB. Rest in peace. But and back to the topic, Kai, again. So that's great. I'm gonna be honest with you. Because Bill Simmons actually did something on this. Talked about Reggie Miller not being a superstar like years ago, and it was really intriguing. But of course, he got hate for it. I'm not saying I agree with it, but he made a very, very compelling case. Very compelling case. There's no definition of superstar. There really isn't. I think it's a bunch of baloney,
Right.
but it's whatever you, the individual person, feel it is. So here's my definition to answer your question, Ralph. First, you do have to be box office. I think what it is you have to be an enticing, intriguing matchup that most people with household names, like people want to see. So if I tell you Joel Embiid, even though they play a different position, Joel Embiid and Giannis, those two teams are going up against each other, man. A clash that Titans, Jokic versus Embiid, KD versus Kawhi.
Right.
I want to see that.
Right.
Why do I want to see it? Because I feel like at some point in time, they're going to guard each other at some point. At some point in time, they may have to get a clutch bucket. At some point in time, they're going to make an amazing play that you're going to remember and be ingrained in your brain. So I think that's one. Then the next thing for me, you have to show up in the playoffs. Showing up in the playoffs doesn't necessarily mean winning an NBA championship, because the NBA championship is a team effort, but I think you need to show a model of consistency in the playoffs, right? So guys like Donovan Mitchell, to me, I wouldn't put him on that level yet, because I don't believe that there's been a model of consistency in terms of always great play or different things of that nature. But a guy who I actually said on my House of Hoops account, for me personally, people can disagree, I actually like Jason Tatum in there, because I feel like they've been playing this game, Ralph. And this will be my last example. I feel like they've been playing this game with Tatum where they're like, oh, well, this year he's emerging. He's just right on the cusp. He beat KD and Kyrie. He's right on the cusp. He beat Giannis. He's right on the cusp. Look, man, even if the Celtics don't win the championship, it's a team effort. When Giannis was going off for 46, Giannis did everything in his power. But Tatum was answering. Right. Tatum was responding. Tatum, honestly, he saved that game. That's a game the Bucks should have closed out. They had a chance to close it out when Giannis hit that three, and Tatum's like, you know what? Not today. He got in his Kobe Bryant bag, and he hit shot after shot. Oh, let me defend KD. Take some time defending KD mano a mano. I'm doing it on both ends of the court. So for me, that's a superstar. Someone who's consistently plays well in the playoffs, shows up in clutch moments, and is box office at any time, whether it's prime time, nighttime, daytime, lunchtime. You know what I'm saying? So that's for me. It's just two requirements for me. That's my superstar.
I agree. Actually, I agree with everything that what you said, and I'm gonna take some stuff and add some stuff to it.
All right.
I do think that, like how Shaq says, when whatever your average is in the regular season, you got to take them averages 3-4 points up, 2 rebounds up, 2 assists up, a whole steal, a whole block, or something like that up, because at the end of the day, and this is when we had this conversation before, when you play a team 4 times, those sets you ran in game 1, they'll work in game 1. They might work in game 2.
Right.
But by game 3, individual talent is what's going to help win those games. So when you have, like when we use the Brooklyn thing, you got KD, Kyrie.
Yeah.
Huge drop off after that.
Right.
When you start looking at the Celtics, you got
Tatum and Jalen
Brown, Horford. Smart can he's not going to break you down, but he can come off a screen.
Yeah, if he gives you 15, you're in trouble. Yeah.
Even White showed that he was comparable.
Could hit a 3.
Was comparable. Robert Williams is a rebound machine.
Yeah, shot blocker too.
Shot blocker, Pritchard.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when you start thinking about these players, then now you take that Celtics team versus the Bucks.
Yeah.
You got Giannis, and then it was Drew with no Middleton.
Right.
Where if Drew has a decent game and Giannis has a crazy game, after that it's a huge fall off. Grayson Allen didn't play like how he played against the Bulls. Bobby his minutes were inconsistent, which didn't make any sense.
That didn't help. Bobby, I was like, yo, Bobby, what happened, man? What?
Right. And so it was like people like even Wes Matthews.
Yeah.
0 for 3, 0 for 5 in game 4. I think it was 1 for 5, but 0 for 3 in that game in game 7. So it's like when you start thinking about these things when it comes to be like taking your team to being a superstar.
Yeah.
That individual talent that no matter what goes, what's gonna happen next, they're sending double teams, triple teams, they're crowding you, they're giving you space, sending different bodies at you. It just doesn't matter. You're still gonna get yours. Ja on the other side. I think that Ja showed he's a superstar in the playoffs. And we could talk about this another time, but I'm just it's getting kind of weird that the Warriors keep having people that just keep coming up against people that's just injured.
Hey,
getting hurt against them.
Yeah, we're gonna have that repeat of last year where everyone starts getting hurt in these conferences, man. I don't know what's going on, man.
Like even back when they their championship run.
Right.
Gets hurt. CJ gets hurt. Kyrie gets hurt.
That was wild.
Kevin Love gets hurt.
Right.
And then it's like, then they out there beating their chest. Like even against this team, you went, what was it, 6-7 games against
without Ja. 6 games. Yeah, without Ja.
And then you should have lost game 4, where the Warriors should have been closed out back in Memphis in game 5.
I agree with that. I do agree with that.
Because that bogus pushing the back foul. And then Jaren Jackson goes up for a shot, and Draymond talking about, oh, that's what I do. Bro, you had to. Bro, you literally had that shot. You got all arm and then a piece of the ball.
What did I say? I say this, bro, in the playoffs these last couple of years, man, the Buffalo Wild Wings refs plus Scott Foster, man, I'm telling you, bro.
But to get back to the conversation, I think that I saw his ability to step up to the challenge, clutch, and you gotta perform better than what you performed in the regular season in the playoffs, because that's really when it really matters.
Hey, I'll give you a word real quick before we move to the next topic. Respect, right?
Right.
It's like when Kobe was out there and during his prime or his peak, they respected where the game plan's like, okay, we know that we can let anyone else beat us, but we cannot let him beat us. Or, D Wade, we can't let D Wade beat us tonight. LeBron, we can't let him beat us tonight. And if he doesn't beat us as a scorer, he's probably still going to beat us as a playmaker. But we at least have to try something, right? So I think respect is a nice word.
And then at the same time, I respect the fan too.
Yeah.
Because like me, I hated Kobe.
Right.
When Kobe's career was over,
it was more like
what he was able to do. I just enjoy. I'm competitive. Even if I'm not in the game.
Yeah.
I love stuff. I love the competitive nature, the banter, the your team ain't gonna win.
Yeah.
And it's like you see some certain shots, and it's just like like in what was it in game? It was either in game 4, the Warriors, Clay hit that 3 in the corner. So when he's he's sliding left out of bounds.
Right. Like,
yeah, that's one of them. Like, hey, man, good shot, bro. Like, there's nothing you can really do about that.
Yeah. That's like the shot on Alvin Gentry versus the Phoenix Suns, and the Phoenix Suns all he could do was just like clap and just like, yeah, man, like you don't like. It's like, bro, I hate this dude so much, but he's killing us, and it's like so beautiful. It's like a beautiful massacre.
Right.
I hope I didn't just quote the Beyonce line. I don't know. Never mind. I'm like, what in the world? Like this beautiful nightmare or something. But anyway, you get my point.
But this brings us to the season is coming closer and closer to an end.
Yeah.
There's 2 teams in the West, 2 teams in the East. We got the Warriors, Mavericks, Western Conference. Who's winning? How many games?
Okay, so I'm gonna start off with the game tonight. We obviously have the Eastern Conference and the Eastern Conference final starting off. So my prediction for the entire series, I actually have the Celtics winning the series, and I have the Celtics winning the series in six games. The reason, and I've actually been consistent with this since I've talked to some of my homies in terms of, okay, if this were to be the matchup, because initially, if you guys remember, being early in the season, I had Heat and Bucks, but that was with Middleton. So to get to the point, I actually have the Boston Celtics winning this series. These are both teams that are really good defensively, but I'm looking at how the Boston Celtics got here and how the Miami Heat got here in the matchups. The Miami Heat got here by defeating an Atlanta Hawks team, I believe, in 5 games without the services of Clint Capella. And then they wound up going up against Philadelphia 76ers team, which they took 6 games to beat without Joel Embiid for 2 of those games. And now they're going to face a team defensively in the Boston Celtics that have had the best defense in the NBA playoffs, Ralph, this playoffs. They beat KD and Kyrie. They swept them. They didn't just beat them, they swept them. Then they went up against Giannis. Yes, he didn't have Chris Middleton, but that was a really physical series. And they Jason Tatum really went toe-to-toe with them. When I look at the Miami Heat, I look at a team that while they're good defensively, they don't have enough guys who can create their own shot when Jimmy Butler gets shut down, right? They're a great three-point shooting team. Number 1 three-point shooting team in the NBA this season, I believe 39%. So far in the playoffs, they've dropped significantly, Ralph. They're 32%. Their second leading scorer during the regular season was Tyler Hero. He averaged 20 points per game. This year in the playoffs, since the playoffs have started, Tyler Hero is only averaging 14 points per game. Think about that. He's shooting 27% from 3, right? 27% from 3, okay? And he was shooting 40% during the regular season. The Heat, as a team in the playoffs, are shooting 32% in the playoffs. So I'm like, bro, like this is bad. Then I'm looking at the Boston Celtics, who are the second best three-point shooting team in the playoffs as well. And that's partly predicated on the fact that the Bucks, they play drop coverage. So obviously the Miami Heat aren't going to play drop coverage, but the Celtics in turn, they are going to run the shooters off the floor. Do you trust Tyler Hill to break anyone down? Duncan Robinson, who didn't really play last series, right? Someone said Bam Adebayo. What if I told you Bam Adebayo has attempted no threes at all during the playoffs? That's interesting. So like I'm looking at it and I'm like, if push comes to shove, do you expect Jason Tatum and Jimmy Butler? Do you expect Jimmy Butler to outduel Jason Tatum? I'll give you this. Jimmy Butler is playing his best basketball since the bubble. I've seen the peak of Jimmy Butler. That's what it is. But he needs offensive contributions from others, and I don't believe that they're going to have it. And then finally, I factor in the schedule. The Celtics coming off 7-game series, right? And it's a quick turnaround. There's a game. I don't know if you knew this. There's a game every other day for this series, which is ridiculous. They're in Miami. They have home court advantage. So the first 2 games are going to be there. Marcus Smart, I don't believe, is playing this game. So I like Miami to win game 1. Even though the Celtics, I believe, are I want to say they're 4-2, 4-1 on the road in the playoffs, and the Heat are 6-0 at home. So I like Miami to win game 1. But ultimately, I believe the Celtics are going to finish this off on Miami's home court, and Deuce, Jason Tatum's son, is going to be relaxing in those Miami pools. So I like the Celtics in 6, man, for the Eastern Conference Finals, and I'll swing the Eastern Conference right back to you, bro.
I agree. I agree with you. I don't think that the Heat have enough.
Yeah.
I think that Jimmy.
I know you like Jimmy. It's cool.
Jimmy and Oladipo are the only 2 that can really create their own offense, where everyone else is going to have to come off of screens, back picks, motion. Mm-hmm. And hopefully Jimmy Butler and Oladipo, people got to rotate to that. And that is what leads to Duncan Robinson being open, Tyler Hero being open, PJ Tucker, Strauss, Vincent being open. And so it's like, with those things, is Bam going to be able to attack Horford? If Giannis, it's not that Horford didn't shut Giannis down.
He played good defense on him, though, for sure.
He didn't make it tough. So if you can make it tough on Giannis, I don't think Bam's not going to be able to do much against that.
Yeah.
So I do think it's one of those things where the Celtics are just going to have too much. Mm-hmm. I don't think that the Heat will be able to withstand that work.
Yeah. And
so I'm taking Celtics. I'm going to say 6 because I'm going to give the Heat some respect. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say Celtics in 6. I do think that the Heat will win tonight. I think I'm going to give the Heat some respect and give them one of the games on the road.
Yeah.
But it will be over in 6.
Okay. Yeah, and I wanted to add real quick, like I had them in actually before the series, before I saw the schedule and how, based off of how this last series went, with them going 7 without Middleton. I actually had the Celtics winning in 5 initially. But I think that if you're betting on Miami, I think it would go 7. And I think if you're betting on Miami, and I think Miami having home court in that schedule, if you look at that schedule is very favorable if you're the Miami Heat. I know they feel disrespected, Ralph. I hear Heat fans say we feel so disrespected. But here's my little rebuttal on them, right? Telling the truth about a team isn't hate. I keep getting all this people like, I'm gonna keep receipts, Kai, rah, 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 rah. I gave them the Eastern Conference Finals. That's more than most people did this year. I've been consistent with that, but they don't have enough. And I don't think a lot of people realize that if me and you if I told you that their 3-point percentage has gone down in the playoffs, Tyler Hero's gone down. I don't know why that's happened though. And they're playing a team that, and I think the Hawks, who are like ranked 26 defensively, the 76ers were ranked 12. So matchups matter. If I'm Spoelstra, looked for him to use what you were talking about, ball screens and running them around, because I think they think the Celtics are going to be tired, which they probably will be, and to see if they can steal game 1. But I don't see them going over 100 points every single game. So take your time. Let's roll on to the Western Conference Finals. I got this one's going to be interesting. I thought long and hard about this, bro. And I listened to the guys on Inside the NBA and the Mavs versus the Warriors. And I listened to what Pat Bev said. Pat Bev said something really interesting. Everyone agrees there's no one on the Warriors that can defend Luka or shut him down. And as someone who watched the Clippers, Kawhi and PG, it took a certain type of player to really do anything against Luka. If I'm Steve Kerr, I'm going to look at Wiggins and I'm going to look at Jonathan Kuminga, the rookie. Because I think Barkley or Kenny Smith mentioned it. The issue is Miles Bridges didn't do anything against Luka. So what are they going to do? You feel me? But Pat Bev said no one can guard Luka, but who is he chasing? You feel me? So you gotta go at this playoffs. It's been proven you can attack Luka, Ralph. You can attack him, run him rugged, make him guard somebody, make him guard the ball.
Right.
And that's true. But also the Mavericks can defend. They defend really well. Also, the Mavericks are apparently, hear me out here. Apparently, the Mavericks, because I had some notes on here. I want to make sure I get my notes. The Mavericks are 5-1 at home in the playoffs, 3-4 on the road. Okay, they went 7 games with the Phoenix Suns, right? A good team. They went 6 games with the Utah Jazz without Luka, where I feel like the Warriors going, 6 games or 5 games, whatever it was, without Jamal Murray, without Michael Porter Jr., going 6 games without Ja Morant, playing in 2 of those games, getting blown off on the court by like 40 points. I actually like the Warriors still in 7. I'm like, I could see a pathway where Luka actually like beats up Draymond and the rest. I don't think they're ever going to be able to guard him. I think that it's really going to come down to them hitting shots and then moving the basketball. I think Luka's going to have his way, and I think that people underrate how good defensively the Dallas Mavericks have been this year. I think Jason Kidd is actually doing a really good job. I think Spencer Dinwiddie, but mainly Jalen Brunson, takes things very personal. And I think those stocky kind of guards bother Steph Curry, those guys that like to get into the lane. And I think that the Warriors are going to get this, but they're going to have to get it the hard way finally. And I think they're going to win in 7 games. So that's kind of my little interesting pick. I think it goes 7 for once.
I got the Warriors in 6.
All right. So like, yep, 6.
The Warriors are going to make – Luka's going to have to guard.
Yeah, I do too. I don't
think he'll have the legs.
I like that.
To finish, and it's gonna really truly be needed. Where I think I just feel like it's one of those things. The same thing I said with the Celtics and the Warriors are just gonna have too much.
Yeah,
because in that game 6, Wiggins balled in the fourth quarter. Then Steph picked it up. Clay was hooping. It's game 6, Clay. Draymond had a Draymond game. What do you have? Like 13, 15, and 8.
Yeah.
As well as Kevon Looney. His insertion into the lineup, it just gives you another big body that I just think at the end of the day, it's just going to be too much for the Mavs.
Yeah.
Now, if Dinwiddie can play like in Game 7, how he played, then we're talking about a different series here.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's like Luka or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Where
that ISO Luka.
A team like this, you're not going to be able to just go out there and just do whatever. Where like Josh showed they could hoop, that he was able to do it, but they were trying to guard him straight up. Like I just didn't understand why.
That's the thing. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I think with Luka, I don't think they'll make that mistake.
Okay. They'll make an adjustment.
And I think they'll make that adjustment to where Luka's gonna have to get his he's gonna have to get his off double teams and triple teams.
Okay, I can see it.
Some shading over to him.
Yeah.
Where you turn him into a shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Once he gets going, he's going. But if he can get things going to the rim,
yeah,
and you turn him into a shooter, that's the reason why I hate the comparison with Larry Bird. It's because he's not the shooter that Larry Bird was.
Not even close.
So, and that's why like I'm gonna go Warriors in 6. I don't think it'll go 7.
Okay.
If Dinwiddie plays like he did in Game 7 for this whole series, then it will go 7.
Okay. No, I like what you said about Ja. That's actually the reason why I have it going 7, because just as someone who I can only go based off of what I've seen, because I've seen him. I mean, you saw it too. You were there. Right. You were watching. When I saw him go against the Clippers 2 years in a row, bro, it's from afar. They're completely different up close, bro. People can. Many have tried and many have failed. They're like, oh, we're gonna. It took a 2-time defensive player of the year to hold him to like 37% from the field when he was defended by that one dude. It took think about that. It's like he wears you. I think Luka's the type of person that really wears the defenses down throughout the course of the series. But I like that combat what you said, and like we were talking about, you have to wear him down, right? But your defense has to be your offense. But I think because Ja got to the paint so easily, I'm like, if Luka gets there, bumps some guys, gets some guys into foul trouble. Let's say he gets Draymond into foul trouble. And also, I'm interested, and this is where it's going to be interesting. I think we can both agree on this. I was talking to some people because people are like, oh, Steph Curry lost a step. Steph Curry did this. Steph Curry, he's not driving past people. Ever since that slump, ever since he was trying to break the 3-point record in Portland and was struggling. He just seems like he's lost a step. The injuries really caught up to him. Clay's not the same, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, I felt like they found a spark, like you said, which is pretty much what I think you're implying. In that last game against the Grizzlies, I felt like they found a spark.
Right.
But all that being said, they're not really shooting lights out from 3 in the playoffs, meaning Steph and Clay. But lights out from 3 for them is also different from a lot of people. But Jordan Poole has been emerging. I think he's shooting like 50% from the field. So I just feel like, and I'm not saying you're doing this or anything like that, but something about Luka, bro, like, bruh, something always in them series go longer than you think they should. Right. They go longer than you think they should. And I was actually had Warriors before I changed my pick. I had Warriors in 6. But if the B-Dubs rest, I hate to come to this, but if the B-Dubs, Buffalo Wild Wings rest are nothing, like you said, bro, and then Phoenix get that home cooking, bro, man, I don't know, bro, because if them threes don't hit for the Warriors, bro, and Luka starts backing down Steph, just starts taking people to the woodshed, I could see if any series, I could see it going 7. That's all. So we'll see.
It's one of those things for me. I think the Warriors have a lot of bodies. Yeah,
they're gonna have to use them. They have to use them.
And I'm trying to pull up people's height and size.
Yeah.
Because think about it. Just think about that roster in general. You got Otto Porter,
right? I think he's like 6'8".
Kuminga, Clay, Draymond, and it's like you got 5 bodies that are around that same height and size. So so I'm looking at it. You got Draymond at 6. If Iguodala comes back, that's another defender. You got Kuminga.
I think they need to use Iggy. They need to use Iggy this year.
Kuminga, who's 6'7". You got Otto Porter, 6'8". Clay, 6'6". Wiggins, 6'7". So it's like you have 5, 6 defenders that you can throw at him that are all, if not his height,
at least,
at least be a little taller in length and size to where you're making. He's gonna have to shoot over you.
Mm-hmm.
Where I don't think the Suns, I think they just tried to throw Mikal Bridges on him and say, and we'll help when needed type thing. And it's like that's not the way that you guard him unless you're that type of defender. And there's probably really only 3 or 4 that type defenders.
I've only seen Ralph. Literally, I've only seen it in. Hey, peep out at the House of Hoops. At the House of Hoops, there's a clip I had of Ben Simmons. It was during the regular season though, when he played great defense on Luka. The problem is they played a second game that season and dude cooked him. So I'm like, bro, man, like you don't hold him down like that Puff Daddy from the album. Can't nobody hold me down. No. That's what Luka be listening to after game 1, the game 1 adjustment. He's like, can't nobody hold me down. That's in his not his iPod, because rest in peace the iPod. That's the last iPod was they shut him down. But I think that has to be like his motivational music, man. But no, I hear you, bro. I agree, man. I think we agree. Kerr has to try something.
Yeah. You can't just guard him straight up, bro. There's no way that's gonna work. You're going to lose.
Right. So all right.
And so we got Warriors, Celtics in the finals.
Yeah. Warriors and Celtics in the finals, and we'll get to that in another show on our prediction. But I think it's gonna be Warriors and Celtics, man.
All right. And then this will probably end up being our last one. So the Saints got the Honey Badger. Jarvis Landry comes home as well. Mm-hmm. 2 LSU products. I think both of them are from Louisiana as well.
Right.
I know that they both played at LSU at different times.
Mm-hmm.
Are the Saints a sleeper team in the NFC?
I believe they have a healthy quarterback. I believe it would be Jameis Winston, right?
Yeah.
I think anything can happen. I really do. I think they're a sleeper team. And the reason why I kind of brought this topic up was because Jarvis Landry going home. I kind of remind me, is reminiscent of how Bobby Wagner did the Ravens, because Landry was like, hey, we're going to the Ravens. He chose home. We saw what it did for a couple different people going home, but going back home, star players and having success. But Tyrann Mathieu, I like it because they fulfilled a position of need. They lost Marcus Williams to my team. Shoot, the Ravens. So now, and you immediately implement that there, just kind of like how, okay, you lose Robert Woods, the Rams last season, obviously it was an injury, and you put in what's his old boy's name, Rob? Odell, right? So they're replenishing resources with star players, quite frankly. And Jameis Winston, he can hit targets over the middle of the field. Jarvis Landry, what does he bring? Well, Jarvis Landry brings a veteran receiver, a veteran presence to the locker room with an edge to him, sure-handed receiver, guy who can play in the slot. He's going to get a lot of yak. That's what Jarvis Landry does. And he's a chain mover. I really like that addition to them. Also, you got to think about the psychological edge since the Tom Brady era that the New Orleans Saints have. It seems like over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've really struggled to beat them, right, during the regular season, that is. And so I think those are going to be keys if you're looking at winning the division. If you win the division, you could possibly have home field advantage throughout the playoffs because that division is weak. You have Marcus Mariota and Ritter as quarterbacks of the Atlanta Falcons. Your number one weapon is the tight end Kyle Pitts. So Atlanta's not going to do anything, and then Carolina is in search of a quarterback out there. So I think they're a sleeper team based off of the strength of their division. The addition of Honey Badger, adding someone with multi-time Super Bowl experience, Jarvis Landry, adding some leadership into that locker room and a veteran to that receiving core. I don't know what the status of a Michael Thomas. Maybe is Michael Thomas play football anymore? I don't know what's going on. Okay, thank you. I'm like, yo.
He's tweeting how he's excited to be back on the field.
Okay, yeah, okay. So if he's playing football, can't guard Mike, I know I lost him in fantasy before. I had a 30-point lead, and this dude couldn't be guarded, and I lost. I think if the addition of Michael Thomas and Landry and whoever else they have in that defense, I think will pay dividends. So I think they're a sleeper team because the only other team I sleep on is the Cowboys, not for a bad reason, for a good reason, because they don't do anything.
Right.
That's about it. So go ahead, Ralph. Take it home for us, man.
I think they are, man, because I do think that at the end of the day, when it comes to how weak the division is, you only have to worry about the one other team in that division.
Yeah.
So then, with that alone, that increases your chances of getting to the playoffs. In the playoffs, anything can happen. But then also when you partner that with their ability to get to the quarterback, then on offense, you have the addition of Chris Olave, takes the top off the defense. You have a chain mover in Jarvis Landry. Then we'll see with the loss of Sean Payton if the offense can create something to where packages for Taysom Hill, he's able to be effective. You still have Alvin Kamara. Then you're getting Kangar Mike Thomas coming back, who is your legit. Now you have a legit one. You got a legit two. Yes. And we'll see what happens with Chris Olave as far as we hope nothing but the best for him. Because you're set up, you have a legit tactician when it comes to route running and sure hands and as in a stud. We talked about Odell so long, but Jarvis Landry, 5 out of his first 8 years, his number, like his first 4 years in the league, there probably wasn't too many receivers in the history of the NFL who have been able to put up the numbers that he was having.
Yeah, he was getting like over 100 receptions too a season.
Exactly. And he was a 5-time Pro Bowler in his first 8 seasons. So now you have someone who is a legit veteran, a tactician in the route running, and a great character guy to teach your young receivers how to be receivers, as well as you got Mike.
All right.
So
and Mandy's home.
Exactly. Then to add the also with the ability of the pass rush, now you get some help on the back end. And it's like when you start to get that home cooking, and I've heard players say when you're playing at home or for people like for your people, it kind of gives you that sense of I gotta go hard.
Yeah.
And so if either one of them have anything left in the tank, because I just refuse to believe that Jarvis Landry fell off that cliff.
Oh no, he didn't fall off the cliff. No, he's fine. He's fine.
You just was playing with Baker.
Yeah. I wanted him on my team. So
right. And then when you got Matthew is the only one that kind of worries me because he is a little older.
Yeah. Injuries
as well have played a part in it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing for me is that's the only thing I would kind of worry about because if you lost a young safety to the Ravens.
Yeah. But you got a good one.
but you got a good one.
A great one.
How much he just has left in the tank.
Right, right.
I do think that plus what you said, it's just something. I don't know what it was, what it is, but for some reason they just happen to have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers numbers.
All right.
They lose to other people that they shouldn't, but then they got no matter what who they line up against, the Buccaneers, they just come out with victories.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that it's like y'all was never nice until you got Brady. And it's like, we're going to remind you, you know what I'm saying? You just can't come up in here and like be the Don Dada. It's like, no, it's kind of like, you know, how like the Steelers and Ravens have like a certain division thing, or like in your division, it might've been, the Chiefs were kind of like the guys, whatever. So it's like, it's like, there's a hierarchy here, guys. So, all right.
And then with the last little bit of time we got left, someone very dear and close to me, my auntie Ernestine, passed away last night. So, on our show, we give moments of silence to people in our communities. And with the little bit of time we got left, we're going to give her 30 seconds of silence starting now. Thank you all for that. Thank you, Auntie Steen. I miss you. I love you. You would definitely be missed. She was when my voice started getting deeper, she was like the main one that would like have me like she would call me just so I could like say her name.
Oh.
And so like she was like one of the first people to really try to like make me feel good. And she was whenever I would go back home, she would make me catfish and spaghetti. Now to some people that may sound like a weird combination, but it's fire. Yeah. I've never had them together. But thank you all for watching, man. We had a good show today.
Yes.
Make sure you like, subscribe on our YouTube, Facebook, the He Say She Say channel. He Say She Say all one word. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow me on all my socials, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. Right on the bottom of the screen at KYNGRALPH at King Ralph.
Go ahead.
Oh, that one right there. And do your thing, bro.
And you can follow me on IG as always at @the.houseofhoops. Once again, that's at @the.houseofhoops for NBA news, player interviews, highlights, all that cool stuff. I just posted on the IG stories the schedules for the conference championship, so you guys can take a look at that. If you guys are doing betting or trying to go to the games. So yeah, all right.
Yeah. All right. And we're out of here.
Peace.